Hey friends, welcome to the In Focus podcast, a show for photographers who are looking to grow and scale a photography business that feels good. I'm your host, Gina, a wedding and elopement photographer, industry educator, coach, and most importantly, your friend. On this show, we'll dive into actionable strategies, industry trends, and all things photography related so you can leave each episode feeling inspired and in focus. Hey friends, welcome back. I'm so excited for today's conversation because we have a guest who is truly inspiring. Meet Mollie Adams. You may know her as Between the Pine on Instagram, but she is not only an incredibly talented photographer, but she's also built a business rooted in authenticity, connection, and intention. She's someone who truly leads by heart, and her approach to photography and client experience has created a brand that people are drawn to, not just for the photos, but for the energy and care she brings to everything that she does. Today, we're going to chat all about Mollie's journey, how she built her brand, and what it looks like to grow and scale a photography business. From building a team to outsourcing to having multiple forms of revenue, and how she managed to generate 500,000 in leads on Instagram alone in 2024. I know, I'm excited too. I know you're going to love her story and walk away with so many valuable takeaways. Let's dive in. All right, Mollie, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. For those who don't know, could you just give a little backstory into who you are, what you do, like what's the lowdown on your business and all about you?
Yes. Okay. First off, Gina, I'm so stoked to be here. Gina and I have been Instagram friends for a long time. And was it like 2 years ago, Gina, we saw each other at the Mount Rainier parking lot and I literally saw her hair and your tall husband. And I was like, that's Gina. And I like screamed across the parking lot. I was like, Gina, ran towards you with my harness on. And then I was like, I hope she knows who I am.
Oh, I did. It was like a meeting that had been in the work, like the universe put us together on that day.
And then like our couples, I remember like talking and we like went and did sunset and I was like, okay, I'll just like go a little farther. And then we just like walked back together. It was like just a double date elopement sunset.
Yeah. And my bride was a photographer, so she also knew you. So it was literally amazing. It was just a great, it was so great.
I did not know that. That's so fun. Oh my gosh.
No.
Okay, well, yes. So who I am. Hi, I'm Mollie. I am the founder and owner of Between the Pines. So we do adventure weddings and elopements. We're primarily based in, well, we're all based in Washington, but we also go to Alaska and Oregon, Northern California, and Kauai. We're kind of like very specific in the locations we go to, but yeah, how it all started. So in 2017, I photographed my best friend being proposed to by my brother-in-law. I know, it works out really well because my sister-in-law is now my best friend too. It's great. Anyways, but that was like the first time I took photos of a couple, and it was this moment of like, this is what I was meant to do. I've always been really business-minded and entrepreneur, but at the time I was a dietitian. That has nothing to do with photography. But anyways, so from 2017 on, I kind of just put my head down and was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to build. And so I always knew from the beginning, like I wanted it to be adventure weddings and elopements, which in 2017, 2018, that was not a thing like it is today. And so I photographed my very first adventure elopement in 2018, which crazy enough, wait, was it 2018 or 2019? I don't know. Either
One
way.
of those.
Yes, it went on to win Junebug's Elopement of the Year, which was crazy just to be like, okay, I'm doing what I meant to do. And then in 2020 was just that pivotal year of like, people can only elope and have micro weddings. And I was just positioned in this perfect place of like, I can position myself as the expert. And then I just watched it grow. And so that was kind of the catalyst for Between the Pine. And so since then, that's crazy. It was 5 years ago. My team has grown. I now have a team of 4 additional photographers, and then myself. And then we also have admin, editors, web designer, copywriter, all of that good stuff. So that's a little bit about who I am in Between the Pine.
That is incredible. First of all, though, question, were you hiking and stuff before that 2020 / that like first elopement? Like that was your passion, or did it evolve with your photography?
Yeah, so I've always loved the outdoors. I was like the kid who my brothers would go to Boy Scouts and I would come with them, and my grandma made me a vest with like extra patches so that I could go to Boy Scouts with them.
Oh my God. That's the cutest.
I know. And my parents like tried to put me in Girl Scouts, and the first camp out was in the library, and I was like, this isn't me. I need to be with the Boy Scouts. So I've always loved adventure. I've always loved being outside, like being in the mountains is where I feel at home. And I've always loved, even in college, I would organize groups of girls to go on hikes. And I just love getting people outside. I think like the outdoors are truly for everyone. And so for me, it was more so, it was like, this is something I love. Photography is something I recognize I have skill at. And how can I blend these to build a business? But when I first started, it wasn't just like, I'm an elopement photographer. I had to do bigger weddings, which bigger weddings are amazing. They're just not my like strongest skill set. And so I started there, but knew from the very beginning, like this is going to be adventure elopements. This is going to be an entire experience that I'm going to be offering to couples. So
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful blend of the 2, and, like, for those who, like, don't follow you, which would be weird, but, like, if you're not following her, her
it's okay if you're
branding
not.
too is so, like, on point with everything she's talking about too. So just, like, go to her website, just, like, kind of take in and her social media and just, like, all of the things she puts out are just, like, direct reflections of exactly what she's talking about. So I just had to throw that in there because it's
Oh,
so
thank you.
beautiful how you do it.
I think that's something that has, like, given me success from the beginning, is I have always been a person who like, I live under the mantra of, like, you have to spend money to make money. So you have to be willing to invest in your own business if you want others to invest in your business as well. So if you're thinking a client's gonna, like, spend money with you, you have to be willing to put money down for yourself as well. So from the beginning, like, I invested in branding. I saw that, like, how can I make this an experience from the moment someone finds me that they are like, this is it. This is what I want. I'm answering their questions before they even ask it. They're envisioning themselves in the images and the captions I make. And so, thanks for saying that. It's something I'm really intentional about and something I think like can cause a lot of success.
1000%. I feel like it's almost like okay, so when you're getting started out, it's like you can take time, like, it'll take time to define your style and, like, get mega comfortable with the camera and that kinda stuff, but, like, you kinda skip that awkward beginner photographer stage if you just come in hot with, like, beautiful branding and stuff. Like, people don't have that time to, like you don't have to dig out of that hole of being, like, that awkward beginner photographer almost, like, you come in, like, with this beautiful website and stuff, and it just speaks volumes of, like, who you are and, like, where you're headed, like, you can already see where you're headed, as
Yes,
you fine-tune your craft and your art and your
absolutely.
skill, so it's just beautiful. I was gonna ask what's one key factor that's, like, contributed most to, like, your current success, but, like,
Yeah.
that could be it, but do you have another one?
Yeah. I kind of have like a few more,
Oh.
if that's okay.
Please, 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 yes.
Okay, so, um, one of the biggest things that has, like, been a factor to my success is my husband Drew told me this once. I got home from shooting, like, my very first year. I was, like, looking at the images, and then I was, like, comparing them to people who had been photographers for, like, 5, 10 plus years, and I was, like, in tears. I was like, this just, like, isn't what I want it to be." And then I was like, "I can't post this. I already posted yesterday." That
Oh, yeah.
the whole thing we all go through. And my husband, Drew, I love him so much. He's also very blunt. He looked at me and was like, "Molly, nobody thinks about you as much as you think about yourself. You gotta get out of your own way." And I was like, "Mm, that is true."
Yes.
And that is truly something, like, since 2017, I have lived by. I'm like, I'm gonna put my blinders on in a lot of ways, and I'm gonna do my thing. And in doing that, there are moments you might look at my branding and my website and my social media and be like, wow, she's confident, she has it all together. But you didn't see the like 7 plus years of like the struggle and the comparison. And I still have those things. We all do. So I think it's really important to acknowledge and recognize like those feelings are valid. But when we are growing a business, that cannot stop you. It's
Yeah.
like we can acknowledge that and then, like, set it to the side and just, like, look at yourself and be like, "I'm a badass, I can do this," and then you can do it.
Yeah, I love that. That's, like, literally if anybody is, like, questioning anything right now in their business, like, you
Yeah.
need to listen to, like, Drew and just, like, just go forward, like, yeah.
We will all put it on our vision boards for 20.
Yeah, I love it. Done, done.
Okay, a few other things that I think have really contributed to my success that I think are often overlooked is, um, I'm a data girly. I love analytics. I let data drive my decisions. So for me, I knew it was time to start a team when the data told me so. I knew like what to post on Instagram because of what the data told me was like doing well. And so I often will look at the data and then adjust things as needed. For example, My website, I love my website right now, but I actually refresh it every year with words, with photos, everything to ensure it's aligned with the trends and where it's going. And so what I'm seeing right now in the industry is 2020 was the year of elopements, right? It was like elopements became more acceptable, they became more known. People really were like, wow, this is something we can do, or we can even just like get photos, adventure photos in our wedding attire. But what I'm seeing now, we're 5 years out from that, and people are wanting to bring friends with them now
Mhm.
too, right? These micro weddings, these intimate weddings are far more popular, I'm starting to see, and
Yeah.
so in that, like, I'm literally watching the data, I'm watching SEO trends, I'm watching which of my reels, like, perform best, and I'm seeing it's, like, intimate weddings and gatherings are what are, like, predominantly, like, soaring right now, and
Yeah.
so you better bet, like, we're gonna start shifting things a little bit towards that so that we meet that need and we're there for the demand. So that's just, like, a quick example of you've gotta watch the data, like, yes, there's sometimes, like, the intuition in things, but you have to the numbers don't lie, and so
Yeah.
always letting numbers help you make decisions, I think is key to, like, growing a successful business.
Yeah. What's like if you could only watch one data point, what would it be? That's a really hard question. I understand.
It's such a hard question. If I could only watch one data point, I would watch where most of my leads are coming from based on my like, I use HoneyBook, so
Yeah.
where they're coming from, and I would, like, invest my time and money predominantly in those specific
Brilliant.
areas.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. And specifically, not even like okay, I'm cheating, but I would go like a layer deeper to that is like, let's say Google is my top performer for leads captured, but Instagram is my top conversion of those leads becoming clients. Like I would look at which data point not only has the most leads, but generates the highest value of booking. That's
Gotcha.
what I would focus on.
Yeah. I'm really impressed that you have like track it that well. Like that's so good.
I'm such a nerd.
But it's I mean, it's something that a business owner should be doing.
Yes.
What do you track it all manually like that? Or do you like, I know, like, Honeybook shows you where your leads come from, and then you can see what you booked, so then do you just go in or
Yeah, that's a great question. So really the way I do it is there's HoneyBook does give you some data points, but not in the most like aesthetic way,
Mhm.
which this is HoneyBook,
Yeah.
it's like almost there so many
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
which is fine. They're great in a lot of other ways. But truly it took me about 15 minutes to like pull the
Mhm.
spreadsheets that it gives you and just like start comparing things. And it was like actually quite shocking to me. Like when I was making my Instagram guide that I released a few months ago, I was looking at my income from 2023 to 2024 on Instagram. And I was able to pull the numbers of how much I made, like my average booking in 2023 versus 2024, the percentage I converted from leads captured on Instagram, and then the amount of total money I made from Instagram leads.
Oh,
Like,
that's
took me 15
incredible.
minutes.
Yeah.
It's all there, and I think this is such a important thing when you are building like a photography business, remember you are building a business. Yes, photography might be your art and your passion and your craft. That doesn't matter if you're not having a business mindset with what
Mhm.
you're doing.
Mhm. I couldn't agree more. I always say, like, I feel like I've seen so many photographers, like, fizzle out of the industry, and
Yeah.
it's not because they're not great photographers. It is not because
Yes.
they are not skilled in their artistry. It's because, like, the business side is hard, and a lot of us don't get into it for that. So it's really refreshing to hear and, like, amazing to know that you can just get it's all you have all this information. It's just taking the time to, like, actually look at it.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too, if you're listening right now and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've never even thought to look at that." Like, ugh, like I never even thought to look at the data. Like, it's okay. Like, there's so much to balance when you are building a business. Like, that's why you listen to podcasts like this. That's why you have friends in the industry because like we can't be good at everything. Like I could list off all my weaknesses in having a business and being a photographer, but like it's so important to like lean on things like this and then take action when you hear things of like, "Oh, that could make my business better." So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, guys listening, that's she just, like, gave us a to-do list after this. Okay.
I did. You need to go look at the data.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. I actually am kind of excited to do it.
Yeah,
Uh,
you should tell me. I wanna know, like, what
yeah.
you find out what your takeaways are. It's pretty
Okay.
fascinating.
I will. Did you have any others that you wanted to share? That or were those, like, the
Um,
main ones?
okay, what was the question again? Key things that to build
That
business
contributed, like, most to your success.
goals. Okay, I'm a goal girly. Be in your goal girly era, okay? So, And what I mean by that is the way that I push the needle forward in between the pine is I make 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals, 6-month goals, 1-month goal, 1-week goal. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but the thought to me 3 years ago, having a team, overwhelming, out of the question, there is no way. I'm 3 years in, I couldn't imagine not having a team.
Yeah.
Like, and so but there was no way I could achieve that if I didn't break that goal down into
Mhm.
actionable items for that week, that month, that 6 months, because those little things you do are what are gonna, like, push you towards that in like, your goal in the end. So, I think it's just really important that, yes, photography is fun and, like, being in the moment and shooting is so incredible. You can't get there if you're not having the leads be generated and captured, and so, like, keep that business hat on when you're creating goals, because that's gonna, in the end, like, help you craft your dream job, if that makes sense.
Oh, I love that. I'm also a goalie girl. Goalie girl. I don't know what she's
Goal girly, but I like
Yes,
goalie girl. She's a
I
soccer girly.
yeah. I, like, I'm, like, the person at the beginning of the year, like, wants to do a weekend away, and you just, like, dream up your year like that, like and I mean, I also kinda wanna do it monthly, but, like, that sounds fun to me, so I'm right there with you.
Are you a checklist girl? Like, you
Oh,
just
give me a list. Give me a list. I'll get it done. Yeah.
literally give me a list and I have to write it down.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like,
I was just talking to someone I have, like, a notepad that's, like, vertical, like, really narrow, and, like, it's
love.
my favorite thing in the world, like, just it's a checklist notepad, like, it's so good. Yeah.
I just yes, I feel this to my core.
I wasn't planning on talking about you building your team, but I think people will really be curious to hear about the process of, like, how that even happened, and then, like, how do you, like, have your photographers, like, do you reach out to them, or do they reach out to you? And, like, just kinda how it works, and maybe we'll just, like, a brief talk about it, but I'm also just curious. So, yeah.
Yes, totally. Okay, so I love my team. I'm biased, but I have the dream team. I'm
Your team
there.
is epic. Your team is
They're s
amazing.
they're so cool, they make me cool, it's perfect. I, like, get to talk about them, and I'm like, pretend this is like, they're so cool. Like, Amy just flew back from, like, skiing in Alaska, like,
Casual.
Devin was just skiing in Japan with her family. I'm like, "What is going on?" Like, they're all so cool. Meanwhile, I'm, like, on the bunny hill at Snoqualmie Pass, and I'm like, do 1 run, and I'm like, "Alright, let's go to the lodge."
It's all
Okay,
balance. We need every element, every kind of person up there, so
we do. Okay, so my team. So, like I said, it was about 3 years ago. So 2020 happened, and when 2020 happened, I shot 50 elopements that year, and I also turned away over 100 couples. And so I was starting to see, I know. So I was starting to see, okay, there's a need. What do I do with this? I'm capturing all these leads, but obviously I can't convert all of them. And I also want to serve the couples, right? Like there are so many amazing photographers in this industry. Like how can I serve both the couple and, like, set my, like, fellow people in the industry up for
Mhm.
success? And so what I first did was I made a referral program that it was like a membership-based thing, and so that was, like, the first step in, like, "Okay, how do I like, the people I'm turning away, will they still listen to me even if I'm turning them away?" And the answer was yes, that a lot of the photographers on that program found a lot of success, but on the back end, that entire year, I was just thinking through, like, okay, like I could have a team, but there is no information out there on how to have a team. I
Yeah.
mean, it is so overwhelming. And it was, do I make them contractors? Do I make them employees?
Mhm.
Um, I have to change all my branding from I to we. Like, do
Yeah.
I take all the initial calls? Like, how is this going to work? And so the first year, I had 2 people on my team, and that was really good, like ease in. It was like, okay, I have these 2 gals. They're incredible. And sure enough, they booked out. Like, people didn't even have a question.
Yeah.
That first year, though, I did see, like, people were like, "No, Molly, we wanna work with you specifically." And
Mhm.
I understood that because a lot of them had been following Between the Pine, and they got engaged, and they're like, "This is my moment."
Mhm.
But I also was recognizing there is couples who are just now finding us, and they've never known Between the Pine any different. They've only known it as a team. And
Yeah.
so, kind of the tipping point for all of that too was, so for 2020, I turned away around 100 couples. And for 2021, I turned away like almost 300 couples, which is insane. I know that is insane. And
That's
so,
amazing.
but again, like I looked at the data and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if I could capture, 50 of those couples, 30
Yeah.
of those couples, what could that do for the bottom line for my business? What could that allow me to do in growing my business? And so, um, yeah, it was a lot of like setting up the back end as well. Like, okay, if I'm going to have a team, I need an in-house editor. And if I have an in-house editor, I need to ensure like the demand is being met for them and I need to train them and make systems for my teams and trainings and all of that. So, um, yeah, this could be an entire podcast
I know.
episode.
I'm like, maybe I just have to I'll have to bring you back and
Yeah,
we're
that's
gonna talk
okay.
teams. I'm
Um,
excited, but that's
yeah.
so wild.
Yeah, so but bringing each gal on my team, was actually I never put out like, "Hey, I'm hiring."
Hmm.
Um, I have a short list of people that I watch and I know and I feel like are similar to me, and, that's kind of how I've built the team, and it's actually really incredible. They're all moms, and so for them, they are getting to, like, focus on their families and grow their families where and then they still get to, like, show up for Between the Pine and, like, do what they love and be out there with the couples, and they all actually they're all 1099 contractors, they actually all have their own businesses as well, like, total badasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how it works, so,
Oh my gosh.
again, this could be, like, a whole
Yeah, I have like 87 other questions, but we have like some really cool stuff I wanna talk about today. So, but that's I mean, it's just amazing. It just kind of goes to show like understanding your data and like and listening to it and then responding to it and being like, how what can I do with that now? And
Yes.
you figured it out,
And I think
obviously.
too, like, again, I really wanna reiterate, like, I'm throwing big numbers out there, right? Like, turning away 300 couples, like, I know that's not normal, like, so please do not hear that and be like, exit off, like, this is not relatable to me at all. A big piece of, like, how I captured those leads and how I grew Between the Pine is I absolutely leveraged when big things came my way. So, when I was nominated for Junebug's Elopement of the Year in 2019 or whatever, you better bet I made an entire marketing plan for that. I leveraged it and I watched that help. And then when 2020 happened, um, I leveraged what the SEO search terms were for COVID, and then because of how I did that, like, New York Times, BuzzFeed, Huffington Post backlinked to me, like, they
Mhm.
picked up what I was writing about, and that's where I saw that growth, and I just rode the wave.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was interviewed for a podcast in 2020, and the gal was like, "So, how has it been going shooting elopements with COVID?" Gina, I had not shot a single elopement during that year yet. You better bet I was like, "Yeah, okay, great question. So" I just, like, talked about, like, what it would be like if I had a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. But that's like, I mean, way to be like so proactive and just like, yeah, continue. I don't want to use the term like fake it till you make it, but like you were
I mean,
just,
I did.
I mean, I think there's power in that.
There is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like fake it till you make it with, like, not faking it like you don't have the skill or equipment or gear
Yes.
or
Yeah.
knowledge, but, like, you gotta, like, maybe if you're not feeling the confidence, like, fake the confidence.
Exactly.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
a better way to say
I love,
it.
yeah. Yeah. I think we all know what we mean when we say it like in a good light. Yeah.
I agree.
Oh my gosh. Well, amazing. Well, okay. And then now I know like one of the biggest reasons you've been able to like scale so successfully is because you have systems in place. And I feel like photographers get stuck with where they're at and like what they're doing because they don't have like all the systems. They're doing everything manually. It's just like not sustainable for them. So
Yeah.
what are maybe like some of the systems that you have in place with Between the Pines that have like allowed your business to grow?
Okay.
Like
Yes, great
systems. Yeah.
question. So, I think a big thing is when you're a one-man show, it's really easy to get by with not having systems because you are like, "Well, it's just me. I'm doing all the things. I'm in the weeds. I'm getting everything done." I want you to shift your mindset to I'm building a business. This is not a side hustle. This is not a like, "Oh, it's just the thing I do. Oh, now it's my full-time job." It's I am building a business and I will have a team. Like that
Mhm.
is a mindset to have because when you have that, you're going to start creating systems so that when you bring people onto your team, you have a way to train them. So that was something I did from the very beginning is what I did is I wrote down every single task that I did and then I went through and highlighted green things that only I could do. And then I highlighted yellow like things I could let go of if I train someone. And then I highlighted red like things I hate, I need to give to someone else.
Mhm.
And I took that list and then I started building out systems of like how I could teach someone how to do that. So I think that's the first thing is like have the mindset of I will have a team. Even if that means like in 6 months, your goal is to have a VA for 3 hours a week. Like,
Yeah.
you still need systems for that. So, um, yeah, that's one thing, like, on the back end is building the systems that your clients don't see so that when you are client facing, you look like you have it together. You have this experience for them, like, catered and ready to go.
Yeah.
That also goes into, like, having client workflows. So, Dubsado, Honeybook, 17 Hats. I feel like I'm missing a big one, but
There's actually, like, a lot more out there than that too, so
I
don't worry,
know,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there's so many, but anyways, all that to say is those programs, are really great for making sure you have a system in place for once a couple inquires that they go through an entire workflow that is just, like, well done so that they feel taken care of and your company is also kind of, like, running on automation a little bit. So for all of our couples, like, the response I send from the inquiry is, like, canned, but also I make it personalized. There's, like, where places to put it personalized, all that stuff. There's field guides that every couple gets, customized field guides I make for each couple. That's a template.
Mhm.
There's emails they get leading up to their day on, like, "Hey, you're eloping in Washington. Here's, like, passes you might need. Here's what you should pack. Here's the bug spray I love." Like, touch points like that where it feels really personalized, but also, like, it's something you can send to every couple that is doing a similar, like, adventure with you. So, those systems are really important. And then the last one, which everyone's gonna be like, "No, don't talk about this." You gotta have a budget. You have to have a cash flow budget. So, as photographers, like, this is the way I grew was, um, I used to operate with what I called the pile o cash. It's like I'd
It sounds
ten
really official.
yeah, pile o cash. I had, $10,000 in my bank account, and it was like, "Wow, I have $10,000. Like, I can buy a camera. I can," but it's like as photographers, we get things in payments and there's slow seasons and
Mhm.
busy seasons. And so it's really important that you have a way to how can this cash can I ensure that, like, let's say I pay myself, I have $10,000 in the bank, but I pay myself 3,000 a month or something like that. Okay, what's that other money doing? How long can it last me? So budgeting's scary, but I highly, highly, highly recommend you have a budget. That's also going to help you know what your pricing should be. And it's also going to allow you to take time off. Like when
Mhm.
you hit your goals, it's okay
Yeah.
to take time off.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the three systems, if that makes sense. I know
No,
I
it
kind of
does.
yabbed about them a little bit, but yeah.
Well, it's good because like, all 3 of them, individually could also be their own podcast because you could go so deep on all 3 of
No.
those, but it's just good to know, like, there's different ways to, like, look into your business to, like,
Yeah.
automate and just create more of a client experience and just an overall, like, sense of, like, structure and, like, stability, within your business. So and I'm, like, all about that, so yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's so good.
And I think too, with all of those things I said, like, I think it's really important. Like, let's say you heard me talk about a budget and you're like, "I'm gonna throw up. That sounds terrible." This is a great place to invest in yourself and invest in your business. Like, maybe you do hire someone to help you make a budget. That
Mhm.
might cost you $200. Oh, but I promise you the return on investment on that is gonna be, like, tenfold. So,
Yeah. It's almost like the thing whatever Molly has talked about that you were like your ickiest thing, like the thing you're like, "Oh, I don't wanna do that." Like,
yeah,
that after this episode is probably the first thing you should probably, like, look into tackling, whether that's finding someone who can help you with it or just, like, actually taking the time to, like or, like, do it yourself almost, but
totally. And there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Like, depending on where you're at in your business journey, like, sometimes you just gotta be, like, gritty, and you just
Yeah.
gotta grind it out and hustle and, like, read the books from the library and watch the YouTube videos, like, that's
Mhm.
what I did when I started. Like, I
Yeah.
was very adamant, like, "I'm not going in debt for this," and so I was so gritty and, like, just hustled. I was like, "I gotta figure this out."
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, and there's so much free education out there these days, and
yes.
so it's like if there's something that you want bad enough, you will find a way to learn it, to try it, to, like, figure it out yourself,
Yeah,
or you won't, and that just kinda goes back that put that back on yourself. Like, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna figure it out and you're gonna learn it.
totally, and I think too, as you grow, it's like, I was just talking to my husband about this. It's like there are some things where I could spend, like, 5 hours, like, researching something and figuring it out, or I could buy a $99 course and save myself 4 hours, and so it's that, what's it worth? What's my time worth right
Yep.
now? And that's
Mhm,
okay if that ebbs and flows, but it's a
mhm.
really good perspective and way to look at it too.
Yeah. When it came to kind of this side of your business and you like your first thing that you like outsource, like if you can think back to like, oh man, I've never really paid somebody to do XYZ or this is my business or like even you was all it was all you at the beginning. What's like the first thing that you like offloaded? And it was kind of
Yep.
scary maybe at first, but like what was that first person or thing that you
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, first thing I hired out was my branding and
Oh
my
yeah.
website.
Okay. Yes.
So I started Between the Pine with a Canva graphic with a rosemary sprig that was pixelated
Mhm.
and then like cursive Between the Pine. Like it was so ugly.
Let's
No, and
wait.
then
We
it
want to
gets
see it. We want
it gets better. And I didn't quite understand how to like download things from Canva and like put it on my website. So I screenshotted it
Then I put it on there.
and the white of the logo did not match the white of the website. Is bad.
Love that.
Yep, and so my designer, Sophie, who I still work with to this day, just kindly dropped into my DMs. We were also friends at the time, we're still friends. And she was like, "Hey, I'm starting a design firm, like, would you want some help?" And I was like, "How did you know?" But that first I remember the first time I paid her, it was a moment of like, "Okay, if I'm
Mhm.
putting money into this, like, I gotta go. Like, I've
Mhm.
gotta make this happen." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like that all the time whenever I give money, whether it's like I've like hired nutrition coaches or whatever it
Yeah.
is, if you put like skin in the game, like you're gonna work so much harder. You're gonna be so much more
Yeah.
invested in it. It's also kind of like our clients with our own work. Like when you charge a certain price, they have skin in the game. Like they're way more invested in it. They
Yes.
show up for sessions ready to go. Like their outfits are on point. Like they're just like way more in it to win it. And that goes both ways, right?
It totally goes both ways, yeah. And then the second thing I, hired out was it was my sister-in-law, the one who got married to my brother-in-law, but I hired her to, like, write blog posts for me and just actually come in and help build systems because
Yeah.
she is so good at that, and I am not good at that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is she and was she doing that before, or you were just like, "You would be good at this, let me teach you how."
She was one of my friends for a long time, and so I
Mhm.
saw and I knew, and I knew how her brain worked, and then we would, like, talk about business stuff, and it was so clear, like, I was like, "Oh, this girl's got it." And
Yeah.
so then I approached her and was like, "Hey, would you wanna do this with me?" She was like, "Yes, absolutely." And that was what year is it? I don't even know. That was 7 or 8 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's so cool because this year she is starting her own company to do this for other people, and
Oh my
it's just
gosh.
like I'm like, "Wow, 1 point for Molly for seeing that 7 years ago."
That's amazing. Yeah. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
yeah.
Well, yeah, way to scout that out early on. Now you're like, "Okay, you can start your own, but you can't leave me. Like,
But
I
you
still
can't
need
leave
you."
me. I
Yeah.
know, right? Yeah, it's actually so cool now. So she's, like, off doing her own thing, and, I've gotten to, like, walk alongside her and watch her grow it. So we've had a little role reversal, which has been so fun.
Yeah, yeah. There's something really magical about, like and, like, now you'll get to just support each other's businesses, like, even more. I don't know, it's really cool to have, like, that business friend like that. I don't know. It's k yeah.
So important to have too,
Mhm.
people you can, like, talk shop with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, wait, this is where things are gonna get really, really exciting. We're gonna talk about Instagram. Hey, photographers, I'm interrupting my own episode because there's something I want to tell you. If you are ready to elevate your wedding photography business, build an incredible portfolio, and connect with a community of like minded creatives, then you do not want to miss this. I'm hosting an in person wedding photography workshop on May 26th, and it's going to be an absolute game changer for your business. This is your chance to capture stunning, high end portfolio images with curated styled shoots, dive deep into the business and marketing strategies, and get hands on coaching to help you book more of your dream clients. Whether you're looking to refine your posing, master your workflow, or elevate your overall brand, this workshop is going to be designed to give you everything you need to level up. Spots are limited to 10 photographers, and early bird pricing won't last long. Head to the show notes and submit an application now to secure your spot. I cannot wait to see you there. Let's make this the year your photography business absolutely thrives.
Let me take a drink of my lemon water. I'm
Take a drink of your lemon water. For those who don't know, so Molly, she managed to generate nearly $500,000 in leads from Instagram in 2024 alone. It's absolutely incredible. So I mean, I don't know where to start, but we're gonna start with like maybe what was your strategy in 2024, like going into the year on
Yes.
Instagram? Did you make shifts before, like at the beginning of the year? Like, tell us more about that.
First off, I can't even believe it. When I saw that number from Instagram alone, I was like, "Oh my gosh." So Shout out to HoneyBook, analytics where I got to
Yeah,
pull that number from.
love that.
Um, okay, so what was kind of happening was, I in 2023, I like actually, I've always prioritized Instagram, to be honest, but in 2024, I kind of was like, I just wanna play around with Instagram. We were almost fully booked as a team, so it wasn't like I was having to be really hyper focused on, like, driving, like, traffic. I could trial and error things, right?
Mhm,
And I also saw on Instagram, which, to be honest, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, is a lot of photographers will not a lot, but oftentimes as small business owners or photographers, I will see people, like, be posting, and then, of course, there's ebbs and flows in engagement, and then they will get on their story and complain about it, and they will
mhm,
be like, "I can't believe this is happening." And my brain just doesn't work that way. I'm like, Instagram is a free tool that I can use to reach hundreds of thousands of people. Like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to crack the code on this. And so that's what I did in 2024. So starting in March of last year, I basically just was like, hmm. I started watching people who were really taking off in any business. I made case studies. I have pages and pages of Google Doc case studies. And I literally just went through when they started growing, what they started posting, what their like captions looked like, what their real hooks were, what audio they were choosing. And I started to find similarities. I started to find commonalities. I started to find things that I was like, oh, so if
uh-huh,
you just shift a few things, maybe that will work. And so I tried it and it worked.
yeah,
And so at the beginning of the year, I was really focused on like generating 1 to 2 quality posts a week. And one of those, at least one of those being a reel.
mhm,
And I just kind of like watched what happened. And then what's so fascinating, Gina, is I started to gain traction. And then I saw everyone else in the industry kind of start using those same reel prompts, use those same like captions. I was like, okay, I have something here.
mhm,
I did crack the code. And so that's kind of like how that all kind of worked. And then yeah, so in just like for numbers games, it's like in 2023, I had 147 leads from Instagram. And we had $285,000 in bookings from Instagram alone.
okay.
And then I like was like 2024, okay, let's do this thing. And then in 2024, I had 182 leads from Instagram, so only about 40 more, but $459,000 in bookings. So I
Holy
was
yes.
yes. So I was able to, like, capture, like though I may have, like, had the same amount of leads, I was converting them, which showed me too, it's like what you put on Instagram for a lot of your potential clients, that's their first interaction with you. So if their first interaction with you is a reel where it's this, like for me, like this elopement in the mountains, and I put it in a point of view where the person who's reading it is the main character and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this could be me." And then they read the caption, and the caption is literally like, "Here's the best time of year. Here's where you should go. Here's how many people you can have. DM this specific word and I'll send you a whole guide."
Mhm,
That first impression for them is like, "Oh, this is the person I need."
yeah,
So oftentimes I've asked couples before, I'm like, "How'd you find me?" And then elopement day, I have my team even ask them, like, "How did they choose us?" And it's very clear. They're like, "We found you. You answered every question before we had it. So we just kind of stopped looking." Like it was
yeah,
just like we found our person.
yeah, they, like, immediately trusted you out of the
Yeah.
gate, like yeah,
So Instagram is that place where you can build the trust and you get to have like, you get to make the first move, right?
yeah.
I don't know anything about dating apps, but isn't it Bumble where the girl gets to, like, make the first move or s
I am with you where I also don't know anything about it. Okay, terrible. Oh my gosh. Well, so then did you keep with that strategy of posting was twice a week?
So, yeah, so I started doing twice a week, and then in busy season, I was, like, at once a week, and then I there was, like, a month or 2 where I actually took like, I barely posted, and that was kind of all intentional because I was like, "I wanna see how this affects
Yeah,
my, like, engagement," and so
yeah,
then in, like, November, I picked back up, like, "Let's go." Like, I was posting a lot, and then in December, I started posting multiple times a day, and it was astounding. Like, I had reels going viral, I had people in my DMs just, like, asking so many questions, or I literally have DMs that are like, "I can't believe I found you. We just reached out. We can't wait to work with you."
wait, I have
And
so
it's like,
many
I
questions about that though. So you went a month of nothing, and then you did, like, another month of testing out, whatever, and then
yep.
you went, like, ham on the 3rd month. Are you saying that, like do you think the month of nothing helped, or it was just a test?
No, it was more just like I wanted to look at the data. I
Okay,
wanted to see, like, for the month of nothing where I posted maybe 2 or 3 times that whole month,
yeah,
I wanted to compare the data points because
yeah,
I think a lot of times we're all trying to Instagram is like it's a mystery. There's a lot about the algorithm that's like, "What is going on?" It's like Do I post 3 times a week? No. Do I post 1 time a week? I think Instagram's mad at me right now. I'm gonna take a break. Like, I think we've all done that before. And so what I found and from my research, it was really like, be consistent.
Mhm.
And when you're consistent, you might have a reel that gets 500 views and the next one gets 2,000 views, and the next one gets 800 views. But if you didn't post at all, that's over 3,000 views you would have missed out on. And
Yeah.
so what I started to learn is like, you have to be consistent with Instagram because not everything you post is going to go viral, but the more that you create quality content, the more you have opportunity to like get in front of your potential client.
Yeah.
And a big thing too was when I was posting multiple times a day, I actually carved out like many hours of my work week to like build that out because my mindset with Instagram is this is literally part of my work week. This is a
Yeah.
business. Like Instagram is not for me personally. It is just not social media. Like yes, I'm social with my potential clients and fellow photographers, but it is like I'm using this as work. I'm getting
Yeah.
on to like achieve a goal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Yeah.
Within that, so what
Yep.
type of content would you say is most effective for the ones that I don't know if you can track it that specifically. You probably can. But like the ones that converted to bookings, like is there a
Yeah.
specific type of content like in terms
Yes.
of stories, posts, carousels, reels?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So for gaining traction for bookings, Reels is where it's at. Reels are so important, but it's so beyond just a reel. It's so beyond just like posting a video and then like hoping it goes viral. There's so
Mhm.
much strategy behind it. And so there's a lot of key parts to it. And I break so much of this down in the Instagram
Yeah.
guide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it now, but it's only I can only cover so much right
Yep,
now.
yep.
But
Keep
a
it
big
like
thing,
semi-brief.
yeah, so the biggest thing I'm gonna tell people, and this is gonna be your, like, key to, like, starting to gain traction, it's the audio. You could have the best reel with the most epic photos, but if you choose the wrong audio, it's gonna tank.
Mhm.
It 10 like, 1 out of nope, I don't know what I was gonna say. It's
Yeah.
gonna tank. So, like, you might get lucky and it, like, takes off, but, like, 99% of the time, it's gonna tank. So, when you're choosing audio for a reel, be this is really, really important. So, we're
Yeah.
gonna go, like, so many layers deep on this. So, the first thing is trending audio. So, for those who don't know, trending audio is when you're on Instagram, you see that little arrow next to the audio, that means it's trending. So if you click on that arrow, it's going to take you to the top 50 trending audios. And oftentimes those audios have been around actually for over like 6 weeks. They usually have over 10,000 views, uses, and they're pretty saturated. So what I see a lot of times is people choosing audio from that top 50 list and it not working. They're like, I use the trending audio, it's not working.
Mhm.
Well, the reason being is there it's oversaturated. And so what you want to do is there's like a few rules I have for myself and I found a lot of success in. So the first thing is when you're choosing an audio, you want to choose a trending audio that aligns, the music needs to align with your brand. Please do not choose an audio that's like heavy metal music and you're like in the mountains, like with wildflowers, you know? So it needs to align, like the audio actually needs to align with like what's happening in your reel. The second thing is that needs to have 10,000 uses or less. And so if you're like, how do I even find audio that has 10,000 or less? So here's the trick. So you're going to go onto Instagram and then you're going to like push the plus, like the create little button,
Mhm.
whatever that button is,
Yeah.
you're gonna push reel and just put a random video in there. Like, does not matter what video it is because you're not actually going to use that video. And then you're gonna click on audio, and then you're gonna start scrolling through. It'll say for you audio, and you'll be able to see it's gonna start. Instagram will recommend audios of trending audios that are not in the top 50. And oftentimes they'll have like 5,000 uses or less. And so what's going to happen is you are using that audio before, if it does potentially climb to the top 50, you are one of the first users of it. And so you're going to climb with it. And so you can then go through all of those audios and you can just hit the little save icon and
Mhm.
be able to use those audios over and over again. So
Oh my gosh.
there's a
That's so
huge,
good, and it also just kinda gives us, like, light into what is in your Instagram guide, like, I'm, like, really excited just to like, it seems really specific and actionable, which is so nice when it comes to Instagram, which is we all assume, like, nobody really knows anything about Instagram, we're all guessing, blah, blah, but, like, there's actual strategy behind it, and Molly's giving us just a glimpse into it, but, like, apply the strategies and, like, see results.
totally. And I think that's a perfect strategy to start with is like, okay, I'm going to make a reel. I need to put the right, like starting with the right audio is a great place to start.
Okay, amazing. And then let's see, I also wanted to talk through breaking down that $500,000. I wanted to just get a little bit nitty-gritty into the numbers
Yeah.
of that. So 500K in leads from Instagram, and I know you kind of briefly, did that, but did most of them come in through DMs or, like, what would you say?
Oh, great question. So I don't take any inquiries
Okay.
from. Yeah, so I'll just send them our contact form. So they're all captured into Honeybook.
Yep.
Yeah, and then kind of like getting into the nitty-gritties of that. So the average booking for last year was $9,000.
Mhm.
So how many I should know this math, I don't. How many couples would that be? I'm gonna do it. 5 divided by 9,000. Okay. She's not a mathematician, but I think that's like 55 of our couples. So a big
Okay.
part of that too is we're a team, so we can take volume.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, our team as a whole last year, I think shot around 88 elopements. So
Okay.
that's pretty wild, like
That's a
that
lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram.
Well, and for me, what's wild about it is elopements, especially adventure ones, feel more seasonal, like even a smaller season than wedding season because
Totally.
the seasons change, like they're so small. So it's really incredible when you put that number out there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's pretty wild, but yeah, so all those leads were captured from Instagram. They then went to our website,
Okay.
which of course our website is linked in our bio. And a big thing with when you put that link in your bio, make sure you're not just going to your homepage. I have a private page on my website that is the Instagram landing page, and it has tabs where um, it just says like homepage, pricing, meet us, contact. Like it just
Perfect.
has the main things they're going to want to see.
Yeah.
Because actually, most of the time when someone goes to your website, if you look at the data, your about page is probably your top performing page, followed by your pricing page. So make
That's so
sure those are really
interesting.
easy and accessible for couples to see. And then make sure on those pages you have multiple opportunities with a call to action to go to your contact page.
I love that. And that's like
Yeah.
super concrete too. So, perfect. Do you use paid ads at all or is it all purely organic?
I have never used a paid ad.
That's also incredible.
I I think actually I take that back. I think I used a paid ad in 2019. So I haven't used one in like years.
Okay, I'm gonna say, like, the answer is still no. Like, the fact that you did that huge number without paying for
I'm
ads,
so honest. I'm like, wait, no, it wasn't.
wait, one time I boosted a post, I'm like, "That does not count."
Yes. Actually, I've never done a paid ad, like, I don't know how to do I boosted a post in 2019.
Again, I'm not counting that at all.
We're not counting that.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, they come on your Instagram website, they come into your system. How do you nurture them then to turn them into your paying client?
Yeah, totally. So, I've tried lots of different strategies with this. This is a whole nother podcast.
I know, I know.
Um, but usually I try to respond to inquiries within, like, 3 days. It used to be a lot sooner when I first
Yeah.
started. The moment that inquiry came in, I would respond so fast, and that's actually how I got some of my couples. They're like, "Oh, you were the first to
Yeah,
respond, and it was personalized." And I'm like, "Oh," you
yeah.
know? But yeah, so they, my, like, response goes, and if it's a good fit, I will respond with, like, my pricing guide, a link to schedule a call with us, and just, like, mention things from their inquiry form in my response of, like, "This
Mhm.
is how I think I loved learning this about you." And a big thing in our response too is I put leads in there where it intrigues them to want to schedule a call with us. So like I'll say like, man, based on what you said, like I actually have 3 specific ideas of where you could elope in October based on like
Mm.
what you're wanting in your day.
Yeah,
So I'm already showing them like I'm going to serve you and I'm positioning myself as the expert in that response as well. So
yeah.
um yeah, they schedule a call, we have a call. Usually it's about 45 minutes to an hour. I do a pretty long initial call and I personally do a video call. I think that is really important that they see your face, that, you can also, I'm the queen of interrupting people. So on a phone call, oh my gosh, can you imagine? I just,
I agree. I think video call is just like that's just it's a way better connection than, like, just a voice.
yeah. And then I think too, a big part is like the way we have our calendar for each year is we have specific set dates that we will photograph elopements on. And
Mhm.
so it's pretty like, I think what's helpful too is oftentimes couples will come and they're like, we want summer in the mountains in Washington. That's maybe what their inquiry says. So
Mhm.
then in my initial response, I'll be like, I have a few ideas for you based on what you said. But then for their call, I'm already prepared. Like, so let's say they say, we want, um, we want jagged mountain peaks. We don't care about wildflowers, and we have 15 people coming with us.
Mhm.
Automatically, I'm telling them about the North Cascades.
Gotcha.
Automatically. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I know, but then I have everything prepared for that call. And so that I can talk them through why I'm telling them about the North Cascades.
Mhm.
And usually by that point, I'll share a few different locations, but they're like, okay, yeah, I think I want North Cascades. It becomes
Yeah.
their idea.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, great, we have 3 dates left. And
Mhm.
so then it's really quick of like, instead of like, okay, awesome. Yeah, like whenever you want to book with me, it's like, no, this is what I have left. And I also have 3 calls later this week, that kind of thing of like,
Yeah. A little
which
bit of
is honest.
scarcity.
Like
Yeah.
if I don't have those calls, I don't say that. But I think giving couples direction, like giving them guardrails is really helpful,
Mhm.
especially in the elopement world where it can feel a little
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Have the call, follow-up email goes out, and in that follow-up email, I link example galleries, and then also, like, "Here's the next steps, just need these final things from you." So,
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
like
I love that. Yeah, you are like, when you go bowling and you put the guardrails up, like, you're setting yourself up for the strike. Like, there's a lane, and they just need to stick in it. Yeah, that's perfect.
okay, so I know you were wondering, and yes, when I was 10 years old, I was in a bowling league, um,
I was wondering.
and I was the worst one on my team, and we were the crazy 10 pins.
I love this about you, though.
And I literally was on the team because I got to go and get a large styrofoam cup Dr. Pepper and tater tots. I was like, "I'm there.
Sign me up for
Sign
yes.
me up with a side of ranch." Oh my gosh. I'm
I'll be at
like,
practice. I'll be there.
"Yeah, should I have practice?" I remember I, like, went to the first one, I'm like, "Oh, the bumpers didn't come up." They're like, "You can't have bumpers in the league." And I'm
You're like,
like,
"Where's the thing you drop the ball onto?" And it, like, roll yeah,
"Exactly, yeah."
yeah.
So, I was an absolute liability, but I did learn about the bumpers, so it all circles back to now.
Full circle, we learned some life skills in that. With a couple more questions, but with this number of leads, like, it's literally blowing my mind.
Yeah,
How do you make sure? Because I know Honeybook and I'm sure all the CRMs have their I forget what they call it, like, pipeline or whatever to
yeah,
track people in your workflow.
yeah,
How do you make sure people don't slip through that crack? Because I know it's really easy to go from inquiry to follow-up, and then, like,
yeah.
that just builds up in that follow-up, and then you're like, "Wait, I actually we had a call, and then I didn't hear from them, and then it's now been, like, 3" like, how did you make sure you don't, like, lose the
Yeah. Okay, so once they go to follow-up, if they don't schedule a call, every week I go through my follow-up, like, channel, and I send follow-up emails. There's 2 emails that'll go out. If they never respond to anything, then I just archive them. I'm like, "Oh,
Gotcha.
well, that's fine."
Mhm.
Um, if I have a call with them and I send the follow-up email, if I have not heard from them in 5 days, I send another follow-up. Sometimes they need more time, sometimes they went with another photographer, but I always love to close the loop,
Yeah.
and just know where they're at because for me personally, like, I am a very much an abundance mindset person, so even if I say, like, "If you chose to go with another photographer, please just let me know," and if they did, I'm like, "So happy for you, congrats, like, have a great time," you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I feel like I've, like, done a lot of work to shift my mindset around that in terms of, like, if they went with somebody else, like, it's because they are a better fit. Like, I gave them all the information. Maybe it's a better price point for, like, where they're at right now. Maybe their style is, like, ultimately a better fit, and, like, all we really want is our clients to be happy. So, if they
Yes.
would've went with me, like, I would not have delivered what they were looking for probably, right?
Yes, I could not agree more.
Yeah. Okay, we have a couple more questions that are general, and then I always end with some, like, little hot seat questions, that have nothing to do with photography. So, but just final takeaways of advice from you. What's one piece of advice you would give to a photographer who's looking to scale their business in a similar way that you have right now? Like, so something they could tackle today, if their goal is to be like you, Molly.
Okay, let's see. I would say let the data drive the decision. So go look at the data today. Go look at your Honeybook data, your Google Analytics, your Instagram analytics. I don't have TikTok, but if TikTok has analytics, look at your TikTok analytics and start mapping out a plan from that. So build a goal. Where do you want to be in 6 months? Look at the data and then start building out a plan of how you're going to get there based on the data.
Amazing. And so you have something that maybe can help us or at least help us get that Instagram traction going. So do you want to kind of tell us about your Instagram field guide?
Yeah, of course. So I made a guide for everyone, including
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
Basically, it is a 80 plus page guide of how to use Instagram for business for specifically creatives and in small business. And so I break down like understanding your audience, understanding your data, understanding stories, carousel posts, reels, how to use metrics. I break it all down in that guide, and it's pretty cool. I released the guide a few months ago, and I get DMs from people who are like, "I just got my dream inquiry from Switzerland," or "I just booked a couple from Colorado." I just like put the strategy in place, and I think I was really hesitant to come out with something like this because I just feel like sometimes there's so much education out there. But I'm a very much a person of like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it really well. And I felt so confident in bringing it to the market because it worked for me and I
Yeah.
know it can work for other people. But it's not just like, here's what I did in between the pines, so it's going to work for you. It is very much like, here's a strategy that you can take and apply to your own business. So,
Oh my God. Like,
yeah,
I'm excited.
I'm
I
so
feel
excited.
like our listeners are gonna be so excited. That sounds they're so value packed and just I mean, as people that like checklists and like strategies, I mean, I'm giddy. I'm giddy. Um,
Yay.
I'm gonna link it in the show notes, and then Molly has been kind enough to give us a discount, so I will make sure that's in there, but it's code Gina, and it'll get you $50 off of that. You guys, this is a no-brainer. Like, I mean, if you're listening to right now, you want some sort of strategy for growth in your business, like, don't hesitate right now. Like, this is amazing. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's something I, like, put out there that I was like, "I would want this." Like, I just
Yeah.
really made sure, like, every single page is, like, very much filled with just, like, applicable knowledge, applicable content to, like, make a difference and move the needle in your business.
Yeah, I think anybody who's listened to you today understands now that, like, you are not somebody that's gonna put fluff out there. Everything's gonna be very data driven and, like, very actionable, so
Yes.
amazing, amazing. Okay, my final hot seat questions, there's 3 of them.
Oh, I can't wait.
Um, would you rather be able to fly or be able to talk to animals?
Oh, talk to animals. I'm a horse girl through and through.
You know what's so funny about that question is, like, people are so strong about their answer there, and, like, literally it goes both ways, but I
Like,
love that. I could see you're a nature girly, like, you're out there talking to the bears and stuff.
especially if there was a mountain lion, I'd be like, "Dude, just hang on. Please go back in your den. Like, do not pass go.
Yeah.
Do not."
I come in peace, but please also come in peace.
Literally, I come in peace. Oh, yeah.
Amazing. If you could have one superpower, not that one, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. What would yours be? Well, I think. What would yours be?
You know what's so funny? I don't think I've ever actually answered this. Well, somebody once said, the power of healing, like others, and like ever since they said that, like, I mean, I don't know, I would love that as well. Just is
Just
it
pull
some?
a Jesus.
You're healed, literally. I like Jesus. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good one. I had somebody else who would just like the superpower would be like anything that's on their to-do list, it gets done like immediately.
Wow. Okay, I think mine would be anything I plant in my garden, like, flourishes.
Like green thumb superpower.
Yeah, green thumb
Yeah.
superpower, like, my carrots, like, please, what will make them grow normal? Everyone
Yeah.
says they're the easiest thing to grow, and I'm over here like, "It's not happening."
I love that one. All right, last one. What's one word that you're living by right now?
Um, hmm, I feel like it's gratitude.
I love that. That's such a good.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
feel like life is truly, like, such a gift, and the opportunity to, like, live each day and, like, do things is truly so incredible, and
Mm.
I'm just so grateful, and so I'm a
Oh,
gratitude girly.
yeah. Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, Molly, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna put a lot of this information in the show notes, but thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. This was amazing.
This was so wonderful, thanks for having me. I, like, hope there's some golden nuggets in there.
Like a million, a million. All right. If you're anything like me, I am now running to start collecting some data on all of the things that Molly mentioned today. I'm going to see how nerdy I can get on this, and I hope you do too. I hope Molly inspired you to think about your business from the numbers standpoint and start planning ways that you can grow and scale in your own business. Until next time, keep growing, keep smiling, and stay focused.